And welcome to our Janome Quilting and Sewing Studio. Today we're talking about a wonderful 1600P series of machines. I'm working on the 1600P DBX model, which has some wonderful features that I'd like to share with you. We've got a great extension table, as you can see, with wonderful markings along the table that are great for cutting, marking, and for all of your quilting needs. Everything lines up perfectly, and you've got a wonderful extension to your already elongated bed for sewing and quilting. You'll notice I also have wonderful features right here at my presser foot, and I've got on the optional convertible free motion foot set, which has a wonderful opening that's going to allow me to see exactly where I'm going to be quilting, which is what we're going to start with today. When we look at the machine, you've got wonderful knobs and buttons, and they can all be a little confusing, but this is really simple, and that's the great thing about this machine is how easy it is. I'm going to be controlling the presser foot pressure of the machine, and on most models you won't have this window, which I find to be wonderful because I always know where my pressure's setting. The dial controls it, and as you'll notice, the little red indicator will move up and down. When we come across, I've got great pre-tensioner for my thread. So this uncoils all of my threads as I'm starting to sew or quilt. Metallic threads, monofilament threads, there's never a problem because of this great pre-tensioner. And there's also a wonderful thread take-up that will allow more thread to be placed in the fabrics if you have thicker fabrics, and there will be less thread because it's automatically adjusted. You don't even have to think about it. As we come across your wonderful needle up, needle down, which is a memorized needle up, needle down, you'll know which feature's on because the green will indicate that it's up, the red will indicate that the needle's down, and your needle will always stop down in the fabric. You're going to see how great that feature is when we start working on our projects. We also have a bobbin winder, and that bobbin winder's got a separate motor. The bobbin winder motor will allow me to wind a bobbin as I am sewing. I've never run out of bobbin thread. It's a great feature to have on a machine. We also have an adjustable, which is a variable speed, and this machine can sew up to 1600 stitches per minute. So you can sew extremely fast, but oftentimes you might want to go slow in some of the finer, more delicate fabrics and some of the more closely cut areas in some of your applique work, and you can adjust the speed just by sliding the rule. As we go along on the machine, you'll also notice a little scissors button, and the scissors button is your thread snips, which will cut both the upper and lower threads for you. Everything's pretty automatic. It makes your sewing so much faster and so much easier. We've got a great knee lift on this machine, and the knee lift is going to allow you to raise and lower your presser foot without ever having to raise your hand. One of my favorite techniques is embellishment, and we're doing raw edge applique, and as you can see with my wonderful optional open toe free motion foot, I can see exactly where I'm sewing. You'll notice just how smooth and quiet your wonderful Janome 1600 PDBX model is, and that's due to those ball bearings in the machine. It's giving me such quiet sewing, but professional in ways that I could not achieve on other machines. I'm going to stop right now. When I do, I want the needle in its down position, and I'll note that it's in the down position due to the indicator. So it's got great features to help you. Wonderful finished project that you can work on would be to use your great 1600P series of machines and create this great wall hanging. And so you've got great projects that you can work on, but it's not just for quilting. We don't want you to think that our machine is only for quilting. So you'll notice this metal plate, which will allow me to use my sewing machine attachment and screw my holder in. The great thing about this being metal and a separate plate is that screw hole can strip over time, and that's not going to happen to you on your wonderful Janome 1600P series of machines. This is a guide that's going to allow me to edge my fabric, butt my fabric right up to that and guide me along. This is an industrial sewing machine, so it's 1,600 stitches a minute with 11 pounds of pressure when that presser foot comes down. Don't have to worry about anything shifting or moving. And so anything that you want to hem or guide along, such as denim, it's going to sew like a charm. So I've got my denim. You'll notice it does have a traditional flat felt seam in it. And as I'm sewing along and wanting to hem my jeans, I'm going to get a perfect feeding and go right up over that hump. Now stop with my needle down. I'm going to let my foot up because that's got a little fold in it that you don't want to get caught on. And as you come across that, look at how it stitches through all of those layers without a problem. This machine is so fantastic for making your life easier, such as your thread snips. It's cut both your upper and lower threads. Now, it's not only for garment sewing and for quilting, but also for home decorating. Here we've got some beautiful decorator fabric that we're making into a Roman shade. I'm going to add a beaded trim with it. And you'll notice that this has got many multiple layers of thickness that it has to sew through. Because I have the adjustable presser foot pressure, I can control how much foot pressure is being applied. We'll just slide our cloth guide over so that we are in the proper position, and we'll grab our trim that we want to add. Normally you would need an industrial machine and an industrial sand that has a separate motor to be able to do all of this heavy upholstery work that you'll see in workrooms and showrooms. Lots of interior designers have those big powerful machines. Well, that's not necessary when you have your wonderful 1600 P machine by Janome. So now I'm going to attach my beaded trim right along the edge of my Roman shade, which you can see has got beautiful pleats in it, to give me that decorator look. We'll use our needle down feature, which is just the memorized needle down, so it remembers to stay in the down position until I turn it off. And as I start to sew, you'll notice how it's gliding through all those layers of thickness, through the pleats, through the braid on the trim. Nothing's getting caught, nothing's getting hung up, and it just zips and whizzes along. I love this machine for its versatility. We're at the end of that, so we'll give it a little cut with our thread cutter. It's cut both the upper and the lower, and you've got beautiful drapes now to hang in your guest